Great. Are these things? Oh, excellent. We're on already. Perfect. Right. Let me get my timer running. We all set? Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much for coming, all those in person and all those that are online today. Thanks for spending the time. We're going to talk to you a little bit for the next 20 minutes about the cost of manufacturing part of the event. Just to give you a little introduction. My name is John Dangerfield. I've been head cost judge now for a fair few years, but been cost judging all the way back to 2003. And I was where you were back in 2001, 2. I've got to try and remember. It seems a long time ago now. In fact, it was a long time ago. So I was a participant as well and came back as one of the first students that came back as a judge. So that's something that you guys are going to start thinking about towards the end of this year. What are you going to do to keep going in the event? My colleague stood to my right here is Lee Wall. He's Deputy Head Cost Judge, works for Ford at the moment, cost estimating guru. He's going to talk to you a little bit later on about the Class 2 changes, the concept class that we've got now, and go into a few more details at that point. So, what's the objectives of today's session? Why do we do cost? How do we do it? The easy wins and the silly mistakes that people make. As I said, the Class 2 changes, which I've now got to call concept class, so sorry for that. And straight on to why we do cost. So, it's a fundamental life skill. You're not going to get away from this. Whatever stream of career that you go into, whether it's an F1 engineer or whether it's something completely different, cost is going to be a major part of your career and a major part of your life. You're going to have to go out there and figure out mortgages and utility bills and all that crap that goes with just existing in life. So I think it's really important that you get a grasp of that now and figure out how to actually learn some of these key skills so that when you go out into industry, you get a head start. It's also a critical engineering skill, and a lot of people think, well, look, we're engineers, we want to do technical stuff, we're not going into accounting, we're not going into business. That's just the way it is. It's a complete fallacy, because you are going to be neck deep in cost and finance all the way through your careers. And if you haven't accepted that yet, you're going to have to, because that's the way businesses run. They will run on profit and loss accounts. Unless you are aggressive with that, you're just not going to succeed. And sooner or later, you will build up all the way through your careers. You get to principal engineer, and you'll go into management level, and then it's going to be even more critical. So it's an opportunity now to figure out how we do it and get the basics right, and then build on that as you go into your careers. It's an opportunity to screw up. Don't get away from it, okay? I have made so many mistakes in my career, so many mistakes when I was at university doing Formula Student. This is an environment where we encourage that. You will learn the most things from screwing up. And we won't chastise you for that when you get to the event. We want to hear about those things. We want to hear about where you've made mistakes, where you've corrected it, where you've done good things. But this is a safe space for you to make those mistakes, because I would much rather you do it at Formula Student than in your first year of your graduate scheme when it starts to count against you in the real world. So it's a really good opportunity to do that. Be daring, make some mistakes. It's all a learning curve. It's an opportunity to grow beyond your technical skills and be a better professional. I guarantee every single job that I've done, job interview that I've been to, even recently in my later career, I refer back to Formula Student as examples for teamwork, for time management, everything else. This is a stream that will be very, very useful for you for when you get out into having these conversations. It's an opportunity for you to basically grow and have those extra skills ready to deploy when you're out in industry. Okay, so doing cost right. So normally, when we stand up at these sort of events, we would take the time to show you how to use the cost tool and the type of things that we're looking for. We've invested heavily, time-wise anyway, in trying to put this online for you. So there's a series of videos now, and I don't know if you've seen them, that we launched last year that actually go into in-depth detail for how to do all the elements of cost that we need. So all your pre-submission documents, how to use the cost tool, the type of things that you need to think about. just up to this morning, there was about an hour and a half of these different videos, these 9 videos that we've done there. And I would encourage you to go and look at that, because that's got all the detail that you would need. And I just couldn't have the time here to convey that to you. We've also launched a video just this morning of the chap actually that you're seeing there, Graham Bailey. He's upstairs. For the guys doing online, he's actually doing your online one-to-one sessions. But he is, he's been doing Formula Student right back to the very start, 99. So he's a very, very experienced cost judge. He's also a cost engineer with Bentley Motor Cars. What he doesn't know isn't worth knowing. So he's done a 20-minute video on all the basics of how you would think about cost engineering, and build up bill of materials. I would really encourage you to watch that. There's some really good slides, lots of examples and hyperlinks on there for you to use when you come to do your cost packs as well. Right, what else have we got? Just to talk a little bit about the videos that we've got coming up as well. So as I said, we've got the Talking of Cost with Graham Bailey. We're going to do a Q&A video on 2021 and thoughts for the things that were good, the things that weren't so good. I'm also going to do an overview of a judging session. So actually at the event this year, although it was slightly different because we had COVID restrictions in there, I did an overview video of a whole judging session for 45 minutes. Now, that might appear boring just to watch that, but what I'm going to do is a talk over it so that we can tell you about the type of things that they're going to be talking about, the type of things that they'll be looking for, and give you some hints and tips, just so you can get a feel for what the actual judging session will look like. So hopefully that'll be good. Concept class cost changes, we'll do a little video about that as well. The cost tool changes, as teams progress towards an EV, more EV cars, the cost tool's got to evolve as well. We recognise that the cost tool has actually been more internal combustion dominated, so we're looking at making some changes on that to make it easier to cost it. That then leads in nicely to Ollie's cost tool masterclass, which I'll talk about Ollie in a second. So we've already done the first one of that this morning. There'll be another one this afternoon. I can't stress enough how important that session is. Ollie has won costs for his team, both at Class 2 and Class 1. He's really good at it. He knows what he's talking about. He's now a cost judge. So go and talk to him, because he knows how to do costs well. And he can tell it you from your perspective and give you that insight. And then the final one is this presentation. So we'll put this one online. So it's going to be a bit of a paradox, because if you're watching it, you already know about it. So there you go. So that will be another one. And what we'll try and do is keep refreshing that. So it's a bank of information that you can go to and keep refreshing your knowledge before the event and whenever that is. The cost tool. This is exactly what I was just talking about. Ollie is your expert. Go and talk to him. He knows everything. He's going to be the go-to moving forward for modifying the cost tool, making sure it still aligns with the other European events, but also takes into account the direction that we want to go in, because it might be very slightly different to what some of the other events are. But Ollie's the expert. Me and Lee dive into this for a week, 2 weeks. Ollie's lived and breathed it just as you will. So he knows it inside out. So really go in there and drill down and get the information and knowledge out of him. Okay, at the event, I can't stress enough, cost takes time. To create these packs, it's going to take you weeks, maybe months. You need to be starting thinking about it now. So everything feeds into this event. What you should have, intimate knowledge of your cost documents. Don't make love to it, that's not what I'm after. I need you to know them inside out though. At least one of your team needs to know every single aspect of that. And we're going to drill down at the event. But you need to make sure the wider team knows the basics. So your subsections, just make sure they know roughly how much the subsections cost. Just so they've got a feel for it, because you will get some cost judges that will go, well, you tell me, he's been doing a lot of talking. You tell me what you think. So make sure that your team are well briefed, well versed, and well practiced at answering some of these questions. Don't lie, you can't cheat a cheater, okay? We're experts at this. We have to be, because that's what we do in our careers, okay? Don't try and catch us out. We know what all the little tricks are. If you turn around to me and say, yes, the machining time was only 2 minutes for this, I know you're bullshitting me, okay? It's been done, it's been tried many, many times, and we've caught it on almost every time. Okay, so just be aware of that. Cost understanding. We are going to ask you some obvious questions. You'd be amazed how many times we go, and how could you save money on that? And the team goes, I don't know. Right, I'm a cost judge. I'm going to want to make sure that you are getting value for money. It's going to be one of the first things I'm going to ask you. So you need a stump speech. Okay, I can tell you this. I've looked into X, Y, and Z, and here's my evidence, here's my proof, and here's all my supporting materials, by the way, if you want to look at it. That's a showstopper for a cost judge because it scares them. Oh my God, these guys know what they're talking about. I better move on to the next question. All right, have a think about that and have a stump speech ready to go. But also have something ready that we've never heard before. Now, that's very subjective because I don't know all the things that have been asked, but I know for certain you will score the higher points when you start getting judges to go, yeah, that's really good. I never heard about that. Wow, they've really thought about that. I've learned something. So have a think about that too. Cost build-up, labour rates, buildings, machining costs, the realisms. Go and have a look at what Graham said for that. He's got some really, really good examples of how he does that at Bentley. You can use some of those examples within your cost explanation file and how you build up the cost for the BOM. Any questions you've got on that, you can fire at us either at the event today or through the FSQD. I'd encourage that as well. Manufacturing process and understanding, mass production versus prototype production. Really important to know. A lot of you guys will go, well, I've built this car, it's a one-off, I've built it this way, we laid up the composite. Remember, these guys are living in the real world where they're making 100,000 of these, they've got to talk about cycle times, everything else. Think about that because they're going to be asking some of those questions. Because also, in their mind, they're going to be kind of interviewing you for, well, we've got graduate schemes. Is this guy good? Can this person do that? And that's the type of thinking that you're going to need to apply when you're actually in front of the judges. How would I build this in a mass production? So if someone placed an order for 1,000 cars, what would I change? What would I do? And the car is actually just an example. Think about that in the real world. If I was making a widget or a device or a life-saving device for the middle of a pandemic, how could I make it cheaper, quicker, faster, better quality? All those sort of things are the information that we're going to be wanting to draw out of you. Right, at the event format, extensive pre-marking. So you've only got 45 minutes Q&A at the event, but we do an extensive amount of pre-marking to make sure that your documents are actually in shape. So when you get to the event, we already have a fairly good feeling about you from your documents. They have to make a first impression. They have to look good. They have to guide us logically through what you've done. How will you stand out? And that isn't just a case of turning up and looking professional in your liveried uniforms or whatever else you do. What are you actually going to do to stand out? And there's lots of innovative ways that we've seen in the past, and it doesn't have to be traditional. It doesn't have to be yes sir, no sir. It can just be that you've got that level of engagement with the cost judges that just takes you to that higher echelon. Think about that and think about what I can do differently. CBOM documentation. So just to give you a heads up, so in previous years, we've asked for the frame and body and suspension. We're changing that up a little bit this year. We still want the frame and body, but we're also now asking about powertrain. And the reason for that is we want to start getting people used to putting in powertrain details into the CBOM, especially as we move to EVs. So that's something we're going to be thinking about. So don't just go into look back at what you've done in the last 2 or 3 years that have been quite standard. It's changing this year. And then you'll see on the right of that page, that's the type of thing we're looking for. So when you turn up to the event, you'll have 3 printed documents, the actual BOM and CBOM, the cost explanation file, and the detailed drawings. The drawings I want of every subsection, and the cost explanation file, there's a video on that, and you can look at all the information that we want from it. Also, when you submit those files, they've got to be in 3 PDFs. 3 PDFs, that's it. That's what I want. I don't want anything else. I don't want Word documents. That's because we need to streamline the pre-marking. And if I have to start converting files and looking at it in different formats, it's a problem. So you will get penalty marks if you don't follow the instructions. And unfortunately, I've got to do that. I can go into a long-winded explanation of why that's important, but I think I've done that before on previous iterations. It's very important, and it'd be even more important when you get out into industry, because you can get tenders refused if you don't follow the instructions, and that can cost jobs and lots of money. Submissions. So this is now, we think we published this a couple of days ago. These are the submissions we need for Class 1 and Concept Class. So this year, if you're doing, any show of hands, anyone who's Concept Class? Concept Class? Anyone in here? Well, maybe there's people online. But this year, we're asking now for submissions in advance for Concept Class 2. So that's really important that you recognise that and make those correct submissions. Now, this is where the rants come in, okay? Last year, I'd say about 50% of the teams were either on the limit or over the limit for submissions. It is not going to happen this year. That's your deadline. Wednesday, the 8th of June, 22, 1700 hours, UK time. That has to be met. There's no ambiguity about that. That's what it is. Submit early and we will help you. I promise you I'll be there. I'll make sure that you can do it. If there's problems with the cost tool a week or two in advance, we will give you every help that you can. There's lots of resources that are out there. However, that's a real person, okay? I know his name. He's a friend of mine. He's also that. I am telling you now, no ambiguity, that website will be down before the event. The cost tool will be down before the event. I guarantee it. All right? Now, it may be down for an hour, might be down for a week. No way am I accepting any excuses for not submitting before the time. We are not doing it this year. Get it in before the date. There's a potential of a minus 120 point penalty if you do that. So you will go into the event on minus 120 points potentially if you don't get it right. If it was me, I would make that your date. Erase everything that you've got, write that down in all your resources that you've got in your team. Cost pack submissions, 1st of June, 22. Have any problems, come back to me, okay? And I will help you. But anything that goes beyond, I'm not entertaining any discussions. I don't care if the website's down, I don't care if the cost tool's down, I don't care if we've had an alien invasion. We are not entertaining it. So that's my rant over. Hope you take that on board. I've just got to hurry up because you've got to do your bit. Right, cost advice. Don't piss people off, really. That should be the title of my autobiography. Prioritize other aspects of the event. Tech. Oh, God, so many people go, oh, I haven't got the car here. We're waiting for scrutineering. Tough. You've got to have your car here. The only way I can audit it. Don't ignore cost altogether. I actually made one person cry a couple of years ago because they said, oh, we're just not interested in costs. And I said, oh, okay, your event's over. I don't think I had the power to do that, but they cried anyway. Never mind. Look, the reason I say this is we've got a large amount of volunteers, industry specialists that are coming. And if you go, oh, I'm not interested in costs, I just want to race a car, they're going to take that quite personally because they're taking time off work and away from their families when they could be on holiday. And I need you to be at this event, and I need you to be taking part in the event, and I need them there. So please bear that in mind. Do's. Enjoy and learn from it. It can be fun if you do it. I realise it's a lot of work, but it's good and it has value. Be on time and in the right place. Please check all the information because we do swap it out now and again. Sometimes we judge you in your garage, sometimes we judge you in a central point. Double check where you're going to be and make sure that you're on time for that. And that'll be really helpful for everyone. Bring the right people in the equipment. Always good to have a couple of tools in case we need to just pop any body panels off or anything like that so we can have a deeper look into the car. Concept class and class 2. Right, I'll pass over to you.
I'll quickly do. Take your time, I can go into the other one. I'll quickly do this one. Can you hear me? I'll take John. Cheers, John. I'll quickly run through this one. So there are some changes, as we say, to concept class or class 2 this year. So by all means, check the rules after today. But just to give you a flavour of what's happening, so we've decided to align more with the FS class, concept class. The reason behind this is to give it more of a springboard feel for those teams that are starting out in concept class and then want to progress into FS class. So it kind of gives you a much better understanding of all of the tools that you'll need to compete in FS class, but also give you a valid cost event as well as concepts. So we're going to, as John mentioned, there are going to be now pre-submitted documents, exactly the same as FS class. The one thing, obviously, with concept classes, we're only asking you to cost frame and body, so that's the main difference there. There is also going to be a real-world task. This is going to be worth 30 points out of the total 150. This will be released in the new year on what this task is going to be, but it will be focused around your manufacturing knowledge, your sustainability, and cost, obviously. So the scoring, as you can see there, so it's fairly similar to FS class, except for in concept it's worth 150. And there is also 10 points for a cost final. So this is something new that we're adding this year for concept class, which will be, there'll be a live final at Silverstone for the top, I think, 4 teams. So just quickly, some key points to remember. Read the updated rules, check them, make sure you understand them. Submit the documents on time in the correct format. As John said, we still get teams that don't submit their documents on time in the correct format. There will not be any second chances. So keep an eye out for that real-world task. It will be announced and on all of the forums and formats in the new year. Be prepared to present this at the event. When we've done similar tasks in the past, teams turn up and go, "Oh, I've got to present something." Just make sure you have it there to present. You can do this in any format you like, whichever your team wants to do, whether it's flip charts, on a computer screen, PDF, but be prepared to present it to the judges. And as John mentioned, check out those cost videos. They're a great resource to help you develop your cost report. And finally, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to contact us on FSQD. One of the team will get back to you with an answer. That's it, John.
So quickly, we'll just do a quick summary. Submit on time. I think I may have stressed that enough. Submit the right stuff. Again, just look at the cost videos, what we're doing, talk to the guys now. That will give you a good insight into what we want. Use the video as an FSQD for information. The FSQD, we try and answer it as quickly as possible. Might be a couple of days turnaround. If it's a difficult question, we might and ah for a bit longer, but we will get back to you. Make note of the concept class change. Read the rules. Make sure that you're on the right side of them. And leverage today at Learn to Win. That's really important. It's a really good resource. There's lots of cost people that are here. So make the most of it. So I've overrun a couple of minutes. Normally I would ask for some questions, but what I'm going to do for cost specifics is actually let you go around and talk to the experts that are around, because I think they're the best people that can help you for this.